Welcome to the Roberta Kay Show. I'm your host, Roberta Kay, and I have an exciting guest with us today. You don't want to miss this opportunity to hear Anna Cartwright. She is an amazing women's hormone coach. She's an RN, but she's really an advocate for women's health. So stay tuned and get ready for a spectacular time with Anna Cartwright. It is such a privilege and an honor to have you with us today.
Thank you, Roberta. I really am excited to be here. I know I've been looking forward to it and hearing you ask all my wonderful questions that we're going to talk about today. That's exciting.
Yes, amen. And I know that a lot of our viewers, Anna, they have many questions about perimenopause and menopause and, you know, how it affects them and how they can come out of it. And I wanted to just ask you today, what is just some information that you would like to share with them as far as, you know, maneuvering through that difficult time?
Wow, that's a lot of, how long do we have? The part about perimenopause and menopause is it happens to every female on the planet. And a lot of people forget that you are not alone, you're never alone, and that you are necessary to find the answers you're looking for. Because a lot of women will get dismissed, and a lot of women during this time can see like maybe 5 other doctors. You know, your gynecologist, a cardiologist maybe, urologist, a general surgeon, orthopedic surgeon, because so many things are going missing because of our hormones going missing, and so we can really be impacted, and so many different health issues can pop up just because of hormones missing.
And that's so true, because I know even myself, like I didn't even put like the things that were happening with me, like I didn't connect it to my perimenopause or my menopause. It was just like these things were happening, and I'm looking at myself like, what is wrong with me?
I know.
You know, I don't know if you've ever dealt with that, or maybe you just feel like you're like a little bit cray-cray. You're not cray-cray. It's your hormones, right,
yes,
Anna?
It is. Yes, it's our hormones. Can I just say, so many times we women will battle with anxiety, and we'll go to the doctor and they'll give us a diagnosis of anxiety without looking at the whole picture and like, why are you having a lot of reasons that women can have anxiety in their 40s and late 30s, because progesterone, our calm hormone, our sleep hormone, she goes missing. Just anatomically, physiology, she'll start to decline in our mid-30s. And so lots of times you'll go to the doctor and you're like, I'm anxious, I'm depressed, and I don't feel like myself. There's a new diagnosis actually called NFLM. It's called not feeling like myself. They have applied that as a diagnosis. And so a lot of people are like, yeah, so here you go. Here's a birth control pill, or here's an antidepressant. SSRIs are scripts are written like out the wazoo right now, and when in reality you're just putting it's like the engine light goes off when your car. I say this a lot, but for a female, she's like, you know what, I'm going to put a picture of my kid over this light that's flashing on the car, or you know, I will forget taking it to a mechanic. I'll make crawl underneath and cut the wire, that little red wire that's causing that red light to go off. You know what? That's giving someone an SSRI when you're in perimenopause is like putting your picture of a kid over this flashing light that's on your dashboard. You need some progesterone. And you go out of there with a diagnosis of anxiety. And anxiety diagnosis should not be your identity, because there's something else. There's a root cause to why you're feeling left out. A lot of women will have urinary tract infections, like chronic urinary tract infections, and they'll go to their provider and here's some antibiotics over and over and over again. And it's not, it happens in all ages, UTIs, urinary tract infections. And sometimes it's a quick, some vaginal estrogen. I know, I said it. Vaginal estrogen will fix a UTI quicker because you're going to the root cause. And so that missing estrogen that's been declining over the years She just needs a little boost and some bioidentical
Right.
hormones are
Oh,
going to
wow.
fix a lot of those things.
Yeah, and that's funny. I loved how you said, like, you just cut the cord to that red light, that's going on, because I feel like I went through that too, and Anna,
I have.
you were my, I mean, I usually, you were my coach, and I was on those anxiety medicines for a very short time because I couldn't, I didn't like them,
bless your heart,
but I had no idea that the anxiety was tied to my hormones. Like, no idea. Like, the doctors don't tell you that. And if you're not, like, I am not up on medical things, like, at all. Sorry, but Anna's taught me a lot. So if you don't know, don't worry about it. You can get some knowledge, and especially when you're around the right people and around people like Anna Cartwright as a hormone coach, right? But it really, when I started to work with you, I mean, I was panic attack city, panic attack city.
Very common at this, and sometimes palpitations. You'll get panic attacks, palpitations. So you go to your cardiologist, and they rule out everything. You're not having a heart attack, because sometimes anxiety and panic attacks go hand in hand. And you'll get all these stress tests, and a lot of money gets spent when you actually can benefit from some hormones that have been missing, some body identical hormones, and fix a lot of that.
Right. Wow, that's incredible. Well, I thank you, Anna, and I thank the Lord. I do not have panic attacks anymore. And
that's huge.
That's
huge.
It is. And of course, there were a lot of things that you, obviously, we worked on getting my eating right.
Yes, that goes hand in hand.
Right, but also the creams that you had, put me on, and also Taming Your Thoughts, which I want to just mention to you. Her book is amazing. Because if you are having anxiety or depression, or maybe your thoughts are just crazy, you're thinking like the worst that could happen, when in reality it's not even close to that. Taming Your Thoughts is great if you can't sleep at night and your mind's like going crazy. I'm telling you, it's a small book, but it is packed with powerful truths and powerful information. So get yours. It's Taming Your Thoughts by Anna Cartwright. You can get it on Amazon.com. I'm like plugging it in because it is really good. I bought them for a bunch of my friends, and I just give them away too.
Right.
So make sure you can get that. But
thank you.
But I know that there's like so much involved in women's health, and especially in this period, this time. So we're going to take a short break, but when we get back, I wanted to ask you a little bit about a term that's been kind of floating everywhere. I see it everywhere, I hear it everywhere, called gaslighting. And when we get back, I really want to dig into what that means for us women here today.
Yes, I'm happy to talk about that today.
Hey everybody, it's Roberta Kay, and I cannot wait to see you on June 7th. Mark your calendar, get the date set. It is our Dream Bigger 2025 Vision Board Luncheon Workshop. And I'm going to tell you, you will not want to miss this. We are going to recap. We are going to dive into making sure that you end 2025 strong. We are going to have a great lineup of speakers. We even have a comedian. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. All of our vendors will be back again, and we're going to just have a great time of fellowship, the Word of God, and we are going to be empowered to make sure that your 2025 is the best year yet. Make sure that you go to our website, dreambiggerluncheon.com, and register today. Get your tickets now. Don't wait, don't delay, and make sure that you invite a friend. Send them to the website. make sure that they register as well. I can't wait to see you there. It's going to be a blast. Well, we've been talking to Anna Cartwright, our hormone coach here today, with Live Strong, Live Long.
Yes.
And we've been a little bit on, the perimenopause and the menopause state, but I wanted to ask you about this gaslighting, because I hear the term flying everywhere, and I noticed that you also are speaking about gaslighting in regards to women today. And can you share with me, number one, like what that means and some examples maybe?
Gaslighting is, it's been around for many years actually. It is very prevalent in women's health. Of course, you can gaslight in relationships, but I'm talking about medical gaslighting today. And women are the number one people that get gaslighted. People of color are the second rated where they get gaslighted. Elderly get gaslighted. So I say if you're a woman of color and you're 60 and you're going to get health care, it can be very hard. And so lots of times women are gaslighted because we're not small men, and so sometimes, back in 1993 was the first year that they put women in medical control study trials. Random trials were only done in 1993 on women because we were atypical. We weren't the norm. And so granted, we are mysterious. I say women have a 28-day cycle, men have a 24-hour cycle. So you can't really compare us to men, and we should never try, of course. But women are learning how to, when you go to your provider, sometimes you're like, I know, why should I even bother? Because so many people get gaslighted. Say you go in for anxiety, or you go in for heavy bleeding, or your palpitations. And so you have all these concerns, but sometimes years ago, there was a terminology called hysteria. I don't know if anybody remembers that, hysteria. Right. They finally kicked that diagnosis out in 1994, I believe. They stopped using that. But up until then, it was like, it's all in your head, you're just crazy. It has to do with your womb, hysteria, hysterectomy, that's where that came from. So yes, we are motivated by hormones, we are motivated by, and our hormones will affect our emotions. So sometimes you get looked at like, oh, here you are again talking, complaining, and so sometimes that being dismissed and your concern, if you think it's real, do they think it's real? And so what happens, you get poor health outcomes, misdiagnosis a lot, and you can go years, lots of times women, not just in menopause and perimenopause, but autoimmune disorders, those people you can really be gaslighted for years. And so my heart goes out to women because I was gaslighted. I had postpartum depression at the ripe young age of 40. I had my last child at 40. And it took me 4 years to find out that I didn't need an antidepressant, but I needed progesterone. And that put me on 25 years of researching for women and helping them advocate for themselves, because one half of the population is women. But a lot of the medical industries have not been taught about women's health, especially menopause health. If you go back and look at some of the medical schools, there's only been 1 hour that these doctors got any kind of education on women's in menopause. And so there's a lot of female doctors that are menopause doctors now going back to the medical schools and saying, you guys need to teach on women's health, learn how to do menopause.
Wait a minute. For our viewers, let's repeat that. So our average doctor that we go to, our family doctor, our health doctor,
even your gynecologist,
have 1 hour's worth of
medical training when they go through school
on menopause.
On menopause. They're definitely influencing the medical systems now to teach on, nutrition for one, and women that are, back at a century and a quarter ago, in the 1900s, women lived, the average age was 52, 53, they died. And because you went on menopause at 50, you died at 50, nobody, it's kind of like, there was nothing to really study, honestly. And so now women, I'm 65, I am planning on living to be a ripe old age of 90. And so there's tons of baby boomers out there that are women, they want to be taken serious in their health, and they need to understand that in my 50s and 60s, I need to know some things about my hormones so that I can. So sometimes you have the silent killer of cardiovascular disease. A woman's rate of having a heart attack, she catches up with a man. Her number one risk of dying at 65 is a heart attack or a stroke.
I had
And
no
so
idea.
we catch up with men in that regard. And so the silent killers of cardiovascular disease, osteoporosis. If you break a hip, 50% of women will break a bone, possibly. And if there is forget what the percentage is, 10 or 15% of the women that do break a hip, they will not make it through that whole year. They will pass away after breaking a hip. And so osteoporosis is huge, but how do you protect yourself against those things that might be coming your way genetically or hereditarily? Or it's body identical hormones.
Right.
That is, and so people are like, oh, well, estrogen causes breast cancer. What I say to that is the risk, the benefits far outweigh the risk. So, and the WHI in 2001 really ruined a lot of things for women. They stated that breast cancer and estrogen go hand in hand when it has been misaligned, it has been disproved, and even the providers that stated that statement, they have come back and said, you know what, we were wrong, because they were doing synthetic progesterone, they were doing synthetic estrogens. And that was an issue. Possibly, it was so minuscule though, but they blew it
Which is totally different than body identical.
So,
correct?
Synthetics are big pharmacy makes synthetics, and those are a lot in the birth control pills. So they look very similar to progesterone and estrogen. They are like 1 or 2 molecules larger than your body makes progesterone. Your molecule and your estradiol molecule. Estradiol is your, she's our youth estrogen. There's 3 different ones: estriol, estrone, and estradiol. Estradiol.
I could use a lot of those.
I know, right?
I want those.
So estradiol is the one that is your.
Make me young.
That's your youth. And so funny thing, I have a client who is 56, and we're trying to get her on her hormones, and she went to her provider. And, I line my clients up with lots of education, lots of books to read before they go in, what to ask their provider before you go in, tell them this is what I'm looking for. That's one way to avoid gaslighting, is you email them before you're going in saying, this is what I'm looking for, this is what I want to talk about today, I've done my research. Come in if you want to come in with a friend or another medical, a nurse I've done that for my friends. I'll just go into a visit with them, as a hey, there's 2 of us here, and we know what we're talking about. And so sometimes going in with books under your arm, like, here I am, I know what I'm talking about, and helping women advocate for themselves. But anyway, the provider looked at her. She said, what's Anna trying to do, get you pregnant again, putting you on all these youth hormones? And she was like, no, we're not going to get pregnant. She's been menopausal for several years, but she just hasn't been supported in her body identical hormones.
Right. I see. So then, okay, I would have never even known that I was being gaslighted. Like when I went into, and maybe some of our viewers are like me, like you don't even know, because we're not, we don't have the information that we need. I obviously, when I went to the doctors, I had no idea about the things that I know now.
Right.
But for those viewers that really don't even know if they are being gaslighted or not, what are some signs that that show that they are being gaslighted?
Some of the favorite things are like, you're just getting older, suck it up, this happens to every woman, why do you think you're special? My other client or my other patients don't complain like you do. Why do you, it is bizarre. And so sometimes you're having all these symptoms, and eventually you get so manipulated that you're like, you know what, maybe it's not that bad. You know what, I'll just go home and I'll drink a bottle of wine, or I'll just go home and I'll just get into my Netflix shows. I'll just you know, I will not advance in our life. Sometimes when you are 60, you feel like, you know what, put me out to pasture, I'm ready to die.
Right.
And it's terrible because if you look at Genesis 3:6, it said God gave us to be 120 years old. He created Adam and Eve to be 120. And so when you are 60 years old, that's not the time. You're just middle age. You are just middle age. And so there's so much creativity and compassion that women have that it just frustrates me to see it all stifled down. And sometimes you can't be around your grandkids. You can't pick your grandkids up. You know, you have to think long term. Like, how am I protecting myself for my grandkids? How am I protecting myself so that I don't fall and break a hip and, you know, end up in a hospital with surgery? Hello, who wants that? But, you know, it does happen, but we are protecting our brain. A lot of time in perimenopause and menopause, you have brain fog where I remember that. I had tons of brain fog. And a lot of women get diagnosed with ADHD in their 50s. You're like, well, you know, it's like all of a sudden I have ADHD. No, you're just missing some estradiol. Your brain loves estradiol. Your brain loves testosterone. Those things that all of a sudden it's like, wow, I never had that diagnosis before. Instead of being like, oh, here's another pill, here's another anti-seizure medication, sometimes they will just put you on this really strong stuff.
Right.
It's like, I just want some hormones. Just give me some progesterone, give me some estradiol, and give me some testosterone.
Wow.
Those are the hormones I had when I was in my 30s and 20s and, you know, teen years. And there's nothing wrong with adding them back in the right doses, the right. I like to add progesterone first and then fill in the rest of the gaps. But anyway.
Well, just talking like about the gaslighting, like I can remember, like I was going to the doctor, like I didn't know what was wrong with me.
Yeah.
I couldn't breathe. I felt like my head, like I just felt like there was no air in my head. And no, I'm not an airhead. I mean, you know,
I remember you saying that. No air.
But yes, it was like no air in my head. Aww. I just, and I was, you know, having panic attacks and I didn't know what was wrong with me. And I'd go to the doctors and they'd be like, oh, there's nothing wrong with you.
Yes.
I have all these tests wrong. There's nothing wrong with you.
The tests come back normal.
You just have, or you're just under stress. So they gave you, like, you know,
some Xanax or Valium.
Yes, and so
SSRI.
And then, of course, once I started working with you, then I realized like what was really happening to me and what was really wrong with me. Yeah. So I just want to encourage you, for our viewers out there, if you are experiencing things like you just don't feel like yourself, you are, you know, you feel like you're just a stressed out mess.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I was, a stressed out mess.
Yes.
It's you know, hard. And you don't understand what's happening. I'm telling you, find somebody, contact Anna. She is a great menopause coach, and get the real help that you need.
Yes.
And study, get some information. You can even go to, Anna is also on all the social media platforms, Instagram, I think is Facebook.
That's too.
Yes, and it's Live Strong.
Period. Live long.
Okay, Live Strong. Period. Live long.
That's my Instagram.
Yes. So you know, follow her. I am sure that she will be a blessing in your life and your health, for sure. And then. As far as the gaslighting, back to that, then how, I know that you said, you know, send them an email, the doctors, or bring a friend, make sure you're educated. Is there anything else that you can do once you're in that doctor's office? Like to shield yourself, number one, from being gaslighted, and what to do when you're not getting through?
When you're not getting through, get another doctor. Sometimes you're like, I've had my gynecologist, I've seen women do this. They're like, my baby, you know, this is the doctor that delivered all my babies, but I don't think they're going to want to write hormones. You know, you can sometimes feel that out. Right. And I'm like, go find another provider. Because wasting your time trying to convince someone to write you hormones when they are dead set, you know, you don't need it, it's, you know, or I can't tell you how many times that my clients have gone and said, I want a bioidentical progesterone. They'll come out with a synthetic progesterone. Synthetic progesterone is not the same. She will go and sit on the receptor site of your beautiful cells that have progesterone receptor sites, but she's blocking that receptor site from the real progesterone. And basically our ovaries age 5 times faster than all of our other organs, like our brain, our lungs, our kidneys, they're aging normal. Our ovaries age 5 times faster. So you are missing the progesterone. You are missing the estradiol. And you don't need a synthetic progestogen. You don't need, a synthetic estrogen either, because it's not going to do the same. The doctors, I don't know why they don't know that, but some of them don't get that. And so you really, there's books I like. Estrogen Matters is a book that's written that's very, very educational. It will help ease a lot of your any anxiety you have about even asking. And so I had one client that I had educated her. She went in and I said, this is what you want, this is how you want it, this is the way it's going to be administered. And her doctor came out with all this stuff like, you do not want estrogen, it's going to blah, 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 blah. She gave her the whole list. And I said, you know what? You go read this book and you go back and you tell your provider, this is what I want. It was a friend of hers who was an NP, and she liked her. And I was like, let's be nice. I've done my homework. I am well aware of what my risks are, but I know my benefits are 100 times better. And so I will say this, I don't really like estradiol by itself. I like progesterone in first. Whether you have a uterus or not, you need progesterone, and then you add in your estradiol. That's my personal, the way I like to do. But we had already gotten the progesterone piece. We were looking to add in the estradiol. So Estrogen Matters is a great book. Dr. Marie Claire Haver wrote a book called The New Menopause. She's out, and she's a hot topic right now. She has a lot of YouTube videos. She's very advocating for women's. She's a gynecologist that found herself in menopause and was freaking out because she didn't know what to do with herself. So a lot of these people that are now menopause educators are women that have gone through menopause and like, what? Where's the help? Where is the support? Why am I feeling gaslighted? Wow. Even from their own colleagues, they feel gaslighted. And so they're the ones that are. So those are 2 great books that I think will help, that are, I just think they're very foundational. There's a Dr. Newsom that's in the UK. I love her as well. She has a lot of great YouTube videos. Dr. Louise Newsom. And she's called The Menopause Doctor. I think that's her title on Instagram. Okay. And just some great information, yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing the books and some of the resources that our viewers can, start to read and get a hold of. And I want to encourage you, be your own advocate.
Yes, I know.
Study, let your mind be renewed. It's not always, a black and white thing. And if you are experiencing any of these issues, anxiety, stress, not feeling like yourself, you're crying for no reason, or maybe you're just like angry, or you're like
angry.
Yes, oh my gosh,
rage.
Yes. Or
that's a real hormone.
Yeah, or just you're snapping and you're like, where did that come from?
Yeah, that's
yeah, it's real, ladies.
It's
It
real.
is real. But there is hope.
Yes.
And I am telling you, with God and with the right knowledge and with the right supplements, you can be on your way to a healthier life. So I want to encourage you, Anna, if you would just tell them how they can get a hold of you and where they can see you, find you. And I pray that all of our viewers contact you, because she will help you.
I am very passionate to help women, and it seems the older I get, the more passionate I feel to help all women of all ages, but especially the ones in menopause where they are suffering. So I have this saying, it's called advocate like a mother, because if you are going to we had to take ownership for our health. If you think that your insurance company is coming to save you, or your doctors are going to come to save you, those days are over. We're in 2025, and if we have to own our own health and know how to take care of our bodies and how to eat right and what supplements should we take at this age and all those things, and sometimes there's so much information we can freeze. And so you can follow me on Instagram. It's Livestrong, Live Long. I have a website, livestronglivelong.com. You can reach me at Anna@livestronglivelong.com. That's another way to find me. Yes, and so I do a coaching program for women, and it's not like, here you go, here's a pill. It's more like, how can we swing the pendulum and get you to where you're out of inflammation and feeling great? So then you add your hormones in and you start to feel like, I feel better. You know, you can feel better at 60 than you did at 40. I guarantee. I'm living proof of that. And I'm here to cheer you on, guys. You can do it.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Anna. It was just such an honor to have you on our show. And listeners, thank you for joining us today.
Yes.
Remember to get your Taming Your Thoughts, too, at Amazon.com.
Thank you, Roberta.
And again, come and follow us. We'd love to see you on our next show at Roberta Kay.